a bit of a social side because crocodiles can't bite off mouthfuls partly because their teeth are for gripping, not carving, and rather than fight off the other crocs, they're all welcomed to the feast as they're unable to dine alone. So what they do is they all take turns to hold down the carcass while one crocodile will grab a hold, lock its back and neck muscles, and then roll. It will roll using its bulk to tear out chunks of meat. And believe it or not, a crocodile can actually consume half a ton of meat in one go. In fact, they eat pretty much everything, not just meat, but also bone, horn, hide, hoof. Nothing goes to waste, and crocodiles often lose teeth while doing this, but another will just roll back in its place. But also, you're all probably wondering what happens to all that bone and hoof. Well, crocodiles have probably the strongest stomach acids of any animal, so for them it's no problem. And you can also probably see here that someone is diving with a Nile crocodile. Well, in places like the Okavango Delta in Botswana in southern Africa, you can go diving with crocodiles. But one thing you always have to do when diving with crocodiles is to get as far away from the surface as possible, because the surface is known as the kill zone. It's where the crocodiles can also hunt for prey. And right here next to it is a crocodile in a hole, and that's all down to another thing that has allowed crocodiles to last for so long is because in lean times in Africa, when it gets very, very, very hot, crocodiles can just have to scrape out a burrow, go inside, and then just go to sleep, and they can almost completely shut down their bodies, relying on the fat reserves they put on during their hunts. And of course, their heartbeat only beats twice a minute, and then the crocodile can then ride out the drought. It's actually believed that that nifty trick helped them outlast the dinosaurs and survive the ice ages. And they might even outlast humanity with that nifty trick. Of course, here is their range in Africa. And the next animal I'm going to show you is probably my favourite African bird of prey. It is the black eagle. The black eagle is one of the largest birds of prey found in Africa. In fact, it can have a wingspan of about 2 metres, and it has eyesight that's 8 times more powerful than ours, as well as ferocious talons. I mean, the back talon is almost like a long, curved kitchen knife of a weapon. And of course, one of the best places to see the black eagle is the Drakensberg Mountains in South Africa. And it's there that you can see these eagles soaring on thermals, which are rising currents of warm air. And believe it or not, black eagles are very unique among birds of prey, because while most birds of prey tend to be solitary and stick to themselves, the black eagle will hunt cooperatively with its mates, because the male and the female will hunt together, because their favourite prey are dassies or rock hyrax, and they can be very, very hard to catch. And of course, what the black eagles do is that one of them, which might be the male, acts as a decoy, distracting the dassies, while the female will sneak around the prey, using the rocks as cover, and then boom, it will strike. I mean, with these two around, the dassies don't really stand a chance. Of course, with a ravenous chick to feed, the because black eagles usually nest on the edge of a rocky crag in a cliff. They always have, they usually have one chick in a year, and of course with a chick to feed, they have to kill at least twice a day. And of course, so I've only seen a black eagle once in captivity, and I actually got the chance to hold him on my wrist, and, well, I say him, it was actually a female, and in birds of prey, the females are usually bigger than the males, and a handler actually said if I wasn't wearing the thick leather gauntlet, she could have actually punched that back talon right through my hand and out the other side. And that is something I would not want to happen to me. Here is their range in Africa. Now, the next animal I'm going to show you is probably Africa's most dangerous animal. It is the hippo. Now, hippos are herbivores, which means they only feed on plant matter. However, they are considered the most dangerous and unpredictable animals in Africa, especially territorial males or protective females that are protecting their young. Of course, they are probably the third largest mammal, and they can weigh as much as a London cab. But even so, despite their enormous bulk, they are incredibly fast. In fact, they can outrun you, and they kill more people each year in Africa than lions and crocodiles combined. And of course, those two gargantuan incisor teeth at the side of their mouths, they actually slot into those two lumps on top of their heads. And they serve no purpose at all for feeding, they're all purely for fighting and for defence. And on a male, they can grow to be probably about as long as my leg. And of course, what people don't actually know about hippos underwater is that they don't actually swim, they run along the bottom. But also, it's recently been discovered that hippos are closely related to whales, and that's mainly been discovered from the vocalizations they make while underwater. Of course, throughout the day, hippos spend much of the day in the water to keep cool, and one of the only times they come out of the water is at night time when it's cooler. And that is actually the most dangerous time to be out. And in fact, if a hippo is out of the water, it actually has a whole bunch of substances that it almost sweats out onto its skin that acts like sunblock to protect its skin from getting sunburn. But also they can even wallow in mud to help protect them. But in times of drought, when the rivers dry up and there's not a lot of water around, hippos can be very, very bad-tempered. Even more so when the males get territorial over breeding rights, and of course, quite often, if two males are going up against each other, first they'll try to drive the other off by giving low grunts and snorts and even growls that can be as loud as a power drill. And if that's ignored, they go on the offensive. And so, like here, because fights between males can last for hours and can be to the death. They use not only their enormous incisors, but their forward-pointing tusks, which can stab right through protective blubber. And of course, when I said about hippos being the most dangerous animal in Africa, I mean, they're just so unpredictable. I mean, if it decides that it doesn't like you, the hippo will attack, and there's absolutely nothing you can do. You can't run faster than a hippo, well, unless your name is Usain Bolt, so then you might stand a chance. But I mean, the hippo will either trample you to death, or it will stab at you with its enormous teeth. Of course, as I mentioned, a lot of the time it's only territorial males or protective females that are the most dangerous. And hippos usually live in large groups called pods. These usually consist of a large number of females and adolescent males, but always one dominant male. Because quite often when males reach breeding age, they're driven off from family groups by the dominant bull. And of course, I've only seen hippos a few times in captivity, and they are, to me, probably the most frightening animal in Africa. I mean, they are, to me, absolutely frightening and something I would not want to go up against. And here is their range. Now, the next animal I'm going to show you is probably one of the most feared animals in Africa and has one of the worst reputations. It is the spotted hyena. Spotted hyenas are found on the savannas of Africa. In fact, they are quite often mistaken for dogs, but actually they are not closely related to dogs at all. In fact, hyenas are actually more closely related to cats. And of course, hyenas usually live in large clans, and of course in hyena society it's the females that are the dominant ones, and they always have. And one of the reasons why hyenas have such an unfair reputation is that they often have a reputation as bone-crushing scavengers, but actually that is not entirely true. As, of course, the image of manic, excited hyenas caked in blood are classic. That has unfortunately given them the unfair reputation they have. When in actual fact, they're actually not just scavengers, but also muscular, intelligent pack predators that can weigh as much as an adult human. And of course, they don't just scavenge. In fact, a lot of the time they'll steal food from cheetahs, leopards, and even incredibly drive lions away from their prey. But they are predators, and they can take on animals from antelope, even as big as wildebeest. And of course, from looking at the hyena's skull, what always catches my attention is the teeth, or the dentition, because those stout cheek teeth at the side are called carnassials, and those are what are used to bite into bones. The spotted hyena probably has the most powerful bite of any mammal. In fact, its bite force is probably over 1,000 pounds per square inch. And of course, they can eat a third of their body weight in one go. And when they feed, they don't just eat the meat, they also eat hide, bone, horn, hoof, and even teeth. Pretty much nothing goes to waste. And like crocodiles, they have some of the strongest stomach acids of any animal. Of course, the whole hyena physique is just immensely powerful. I mean, the head is really broad and frightening looking. I mean, it's no wonder these animals have inspired so much fear. But of course, they also have longer front legs with huge paws which